You've been told since the beginning of your career that job security is built on a foundation of results, that as long as you hit your targets and stay out of trouble, your seat at the table is guaranteed. You believe that if there were ever a problem with your performance, your boss would pull you aside for a straight talk session to help you get back on track. We are conditioned to think that being fired is a loud, sudden event, a dramatic walk to an office, followed by a security escort. But as you sit at your desk, noticing that your manager hasn't replied to your last 3 emails and that you weren't invited to the strategic planning session for next quarter, you need to realize that the end of your tenure won't likely be a bang, but a long, suffocating whimper. The truth is, the modern corporate world doesn't like the messiness of a direct firing. It prefers the clinical efficiency of quiet firing. Your boss isn't trying to coach you anymore. They are trying to encapsulate you, creating a vacuum around your role until you either quit out of sheer frustration or they have enough documented evidence to eject you without a legal footprint. You aren't being sensitive for feeling like the air has changed in the office. You are witnessing the cold, the mechanical process of being managed out. The tension you feel isn't a lack of motivation. It's the sound of the system closing its doors on you while you're still standing in the room. Think about the relatable daily friction of your current week. You used to be the go-to person for the high-impact projects, but lately, your inbox has been suspiciously light. You're being assigned what the industry calls maintenance work, tasks that are repetitive, low visibility, and entirely disconnected from the company's future growth. You feel a growing sense of frustration as you watch a newer, less experienced colleague get handed the account you've been nurturing for 2 years. You think you're just in a slump, or that the boss is giving you a break because you've been working hard. But as you look at your calendar and see that your weekly one-on-one has been canceled for the 3rd time in a month with a vague "something came up" excuse, the unfairness of the situation starts to gnaw at you. You feel misunderstood, ignored, and increasingly invisible. This is where most people get stuck. They think that if they just work harder on the maintenance work, the boss will notice their dedication and bring them back into the fold. But here is the part nobody tells you. Once a boss has decided to quiet fire you, your hard work on low-value tasks is actually helping them. You are making it easy for the department to run, while they quietly prepare your replacement. You are being ghosted in broad daylight, and your belief in working your way out is the very thing keeping you trapped in the exit zone. The hidden truth behind these 9 signs, ranging from the communication blackout to the impossible KPI, is that your boss is terrified of the conflict of firing you. You think it works like this. The company is a rational entity that makes decisions based on profit and loss, but it doesn't. Here's what actually happens. Your boss is a human being who wants to avoid an uncomfortable conversation with HR and a potential lawsuit. Quiet firing is a psychological siege. By removing your access to information, they make you feel incompetent. By giving you impossible deadlines, they create a paper trail of performance issues. By excluding you from social and professional circles, they erode your social capital until you have no allies left to defend you. This is the part nobody tells you. The paper trail isn't being built to help you improve. It's being built to protect the company when they finally pull the trigger. They are breaking your false assumption that the Performance Improvement Plan, PIP, is a ladder to success. In reality, a PIP is almost always a paid notice period. It is the company's way of saying, "We've already decided you're leaving. We're just giving ourselves 90 days to make it legal." Deep office politics is the management of perceived essentialism. Decisions about who stays and who goes are made based on who the boss trusts to carry the narrative into the next year. When you are being quiet fired, you have lost your trust equity. This often happens not because you failed at your job, but because you made the boss feel insecure or inconvenienced. Maybe you were too right about a failing strategy, or maybe you were the only one who saw the emperor had no clothes. Human behavior dictates that we protect the tribe by ejecting the nonconformist. In the hierarchy of power, compatibility is more valuable than competence. If you aren't in the inner circle chats, if your jokes aren't landing, and if your boss has stopped looking you in the eye during meetings, you have been socially deplatformed. The decisions are already made in the silence between the emails. You are no longer an employee. You are a resource in transition. Your boss is already mentally spent on you. And every interaction you have with them now is just a transaction in their exit strategy. And this is where the reality shift must happen. You need to realize that your current approach of waiting and hoping is the equivalent of staying in a burning building because you're waiting for the fire department to tell you it's okay to leave. You have to reframe your understanding of your value. Your value isn't tied to your desk. It's tied to your market portability. Your approach is failing because you are treating this like a relationship that can be saved with better communication, while your boss is treating it like a liability that needs to be liquidated. The signs are all there. The sudden micromanagement of your minor tasks to find errors, the shift in tone from supportive to clinical, and the information starvation that leaves you guessing about the department's direction. You think you're fighting for your job, but you're actually fighting for a seat on a ship that has already sailed. This is the turning point where you stop being the petitioner and start being the strategist. Subtle solutions to surviving this phase start with aggressive external visibility. Since your internal visibility has been cut off, you must make yourself unignorable to the outside world. This doesn't mean you stop doing your job. It means you stop doing it for your boss and start doing it for your resume. You document every win, every metric, and every maintenance task as if you were presenting it to a competitor. You are building your lifeboat. Perception is about reframing the narrative. When you are assigned a dead-end task, you don't complain. You execute it perfectly and then send a group email summarizing your success. You are forcing your boss to acknowledge your value in a public forum where they can't quietly ignore you. You are creating a digital footprint of competence that HR cannot easily overlook. Communication in the exit zone should be hyper-formal and relentless. Since your boss is trying to ghost you, you must become a ghost hunter. You follow up every canceled meeting with an email. I understand you had to cancel our one-on-one. Here are the 3 critical updates I needed to discuss to ensure the project stays on track. You are creating your own counter-paper trail. You are signaling that you are present, productive, and documented. This changes the perception of you from a slumping employee to a sovereign professional who is being systemically ignored. HR is much more hesitant to fire someone who has a 3-month record of asking for work and being denied it. You are essentially ensuring your own severance. Relationships during this time are your early warning system. You need to find the information brokers in other departments, the people who know the rumors, before they become policy. You don't go to them to vent, you go to them to exchange value. You offer them help on their projects, you share insights from your niche, and in return, you listen for the draft. If you hear that your role is being refined or consolidated, you have your answer. You are realistic about the fact that your boss's peers likely know more about your future than you do. By building these lateral alliances, you are ensuring that when the quiet firing becomes a loud termination, you already have 3 other doors open. You are playing a long game strategy, where the company is just one of many platforms you use. The part nobody tells you is that quiet firing is often a gift in a very ugly wrapping paper. It is the company's way of paying you to find your next job. If you can stomach the uncomfortable silence and the low-status tasks for a few months, you can use that time to hyper-accelerate your job search. Most people waste this time being depressed or angry. They spend their workdays staring at their screens, feeling rejected. But a high-level operator sees this as funded research and development. You are being paid your full salary to spend 4 hours a day on LinkedIn, 2 hours on your portfolio, and 2 hours on the maintenance work. You are arbitraging your own termination. By the time your boss finally gets the nerve to sit you down with HR, you should be able to smile, thank them for the opportunity, and tell them you've already signed an offer for 20% more elsewhere. That is the ultimate corporate win. Here's what actually happens when you master the silent exit. You realize that the power was never with the boss. The power was always with your ability to leave. Quiet firing only works if the employee is trapped. If you are not trapped, quiet firing is just a strategic transition period. You think you're losing your career, but you're actually just losing a contract that had already expired in the mind of the base buyer. The 9 signs, the ghosting, the PIP, the demotion in disguise, are just market signals. They are telling you that your ROI in this specific ecosystem has peaked. Once you stop taking it personally, the deep office politics becomes a game of logistics. You are moving your human capital to a higher growth market. The truth is, your work identity is a commercial asset, not a personal one. Your boss isn't trying to fire you because you're a bad person. They are doing it because they are a poor leader who doesn't know how to develop talent or realign goals. They are choosing the easy path of avoidance. This is why you must never offer your unfiltered truth to a boss who is quiet firing you. Don't ask, "Do you want me here?" because they will lie and say, "Of course," to avoid the conflict. Instead, ask, "What are the 3 most critical metrics for this role over the next 90 days?" If they can't or won't give you an answer, you have your eviction notice. You are a sovereign agent operating within a system, and your job is to exit that system with your market value higher than when you entered. The ending of this narrative is about your own awareness. Look at your ghosted emails and your low-value assignments, not as insults, but as status reports. The company is telling you exactly who they are. Believe them. The gap between the company culture video and the quiet firing reality is where your freedom lies. Once you see the gap, you can no longer be manipulated by the fear of failure. You are the only person truly invested in your human resources. Your talent, your time, and your mental health are your resources, and you are the only one who can manage them. Quiet firing is just a hurdle on the track, not the finish line. Reflect on this. The person who is quietly trying to fire you is often the most fragile person in the building. They are using silence because they don't have the strength for the truth. Why would you want to work for a fragile leader? If you accept that the corporate world is a theater of managed perceptions, the uncomfortable truth becomes a liberating truth. You stop looking for validation from a ghost and start looking for it in your bank account and your future. Awareness is the only safety you'll ever find. Now, go back to your desk, finish that maintenance task with a smile, and then spend the rest of the afternoon building your lifeboat. The meeting with HR is coming, but for the first time in your career, you're the one who is actually ready for it. You aren't a victim of a quiet fire. You are an operator who has just been given the green light to move to something better. The end of this job is the beginning of your real value discovery. Stay focused, stay professional, and stay market ready. The world is bigger than this office, and your sovereignty is the only thing that travels with you. Reflect on the quiet power of the person who knows they are being targeted, but has already moved their wealth to another country. That is the real professional maturity. The end is just a new beginning with a better salary. Now, get to work on your future.